What if Genesis 3:6 is simply God's discussion of what life is going to be like? The birds, the bees, men's desire for women, and ejaculation. And it has nothing to do with blaming women or men being above women. I have had to go in and relook at different words because in order to make the land claim for the Horians and the Hattians, which goes, and I'm giving up Egypt, even though Nechabet, Habit, the Abba, and the Horian are there, which is Horus. We are stopping at Israel, and we are only moving north. I am not including any part of Africa or Egypt. We're not looking at any part of Kenya or Ethiopia. We're not doing that. But as I go through and do this, we have to really look at who Moses' Misha is, because he doesn't really exist in Egypt. He's not found in Isaiah. He's not found in a lot of the other texts. There's no savior. Many of the other texts are not looking for David, and they are certainly not looking for Solomon. This is all a confabulation that occurred after whatever Babylonian exile occurred, and there was a land grab. But it's important to understand that Misha was originally not it meant to deliver, but it was the Moabite king, and that's where they got rulership from. And remember, I've already said, Psalms 83 clearly tells us that the more peaceful people in that area were invaded. It's important to read Psalm 83, go to Scripture for All, and take a look at it. Gabal is Biblos, by the way. So let's come out of me, and I'm going to add this on to the other. You know how I can go on forever. And to the woman, this should be Isha, not this. 2, this is Al, but and this is wrong as well. It should be God the woman, if that were the case, because when you have Al, you only have an L that goes before him. Look, to Adam. Look at this, and to Adam. Here we have you to Adam. See how this is delegated here? UL, although I told you there is no U, there's a W, there's a V. This is a great way of looking at it. So when we come up here and say to the woman, it should not be an al, it should just be an L dot. That's all it should be. When the L occurs at the end, that normally tells us it's a direction or it's God. So here we go. Let's see where that's located again. It's located UL and 2. Well, why do they call this 2? When all the time, the only time you have 2, here we go. Look at 2 here. MN, I said that's Min. That's really an Egyptian god. MM is from. Okay? In you, in days. Okay, let's see if there's another 2, one more 2 down here, so I can make. And then for you eat herbage of field in sweat. Oh, look at the B is always in, never over. 2. No, again. So why would it be all here? It shouldn't. It should just, so this is either a God, but it's not a direction. Could be God. Could be God, L. So if it's L, God the woman, all right, rather than, because if it was Ishel, that would make Isha, it would make her God. So it's either God the woman, he said. Now that sort of makes sense. God the woman, he said, or God the woman, right, she said. To increase, I'm increasing. This is not in grief. This is in hard labor of you. That is correct. The K at the end. U, K, and pregnancy. Remember, it's either a W or it's a V. Heron, pregnancy. This is Horian of you. That's correct. In grief. There's no grief here. It's hard labor. And you shall birth, yes, birth here. This is the I, and I discussed this in here, the prefixes, the suffixes. we have the suffixes here. And you will birth, here's the I there for the feminine singular. You will birth their high sons. Okay. Now, and God, or this is actually all one word. Let's see what that word is going to look at. Oh, different word. Hold on. Wait a minute. Well, we might as well do this as well. Feminine, tishkwa. It's simply a feminine noun. Makes no sense. In Hebrew, rachim is uterus and it's feminine. Breasts are feminine. The only word I can say is they spell cast and they steal things from women left and right. But it's a feminine noun. And there was originally no U and no originally Q. There was only a K. In fact, they have it there. So it's tishkwa. So it's a feminine noun. Let's come back here. Man of you. So he's already, could be God. It's not two, because that would just be an L. This is in grief, and he rules in you, not over you. And two, man, impulse of you. He desires you. Man of you, desire you. That is a feminine noun, desire you. Man of you, desire you. And dot, he, remember I've already said, this is really Hava. Man of you, deliver. Masha means to deliver. Deliver to. It doesn't mean rule. He delivers to you in you. He delivers to in you. Ejaculates inside of you. So now it's all going to rest on this AL. Let's stop and take a look at the AL. Here is the AL across two groups. Hard to find it because they're hiding. They scheme and connive, this group. One which is comparable in two groups. The WL, and there's not really an there. They have a UAL. Not there. Not there at all. While the other denotes the showing of willingness or determination. So, one, if it's this and the two L's, I guess that's showing foolishness and whatever. And if it has an I here, a direction between oaks and foolishness, I don't know, might imply protruding the act of a tree. I think that has something to do with this. Anyway, and then there are two, one which is comparable to roots, while the other denotes the showing of two roots, this, and this would be the two roots. But there's this, they put that U or that V in there, or the W, while the other denotes a willingness or determination. So let's go back into this. So, man of you and determined, sons, and determination or willingness, man of you, desiring you, impulse of him, desiring him, and he delivers in you, or he's going to deliver the God in you, he's going to be the midwife. There's nothing there that says that he rules over her. It's complete birds and bees. Nothing. Zip. Okay, so now we're going to add this on to the other. And we're just going to come out of me one more time, because I've already said here that the whole Misha was a Moabite. That's right. hold on. Here's Exodus 2, and she's calling name of him, Shem of him. All right. Notice there's no O in here. There's no I-N in here. There really isn't. It's Misha. This is a deliverer. This is because I drew him out of water. He's not Moses. He's not Moses at all. He's just Misha. And this is not real. Okay. Nope, not real at all. And there's no O. There's no I-N in there. It's just Misha. Just like, and the only one who has any kind of steel or plaque is that Misha. And he is in 1840 BC about that. So I discussed that more. All right, thank you folks. We're going to add it on to the other. Thank you. Hi, I'm Lynn Schnebley with Educating with Wisdom, and I'm about to hit that last area once again, correcting the translations of Genesis 3, what was the condemnation of women. And I've done this a few times. Unfortunately, I keep relying upon other people's translations and what their authoritative pieces are, and God keeps sending me into it. Now, this is instrumental because as we're looking at all of this area, I'm, as the ambassador for heaven's creating and protecting goddesses and archangels over life, I am laying claim for the Horians, for Sarah's people, the Horians and the Hattians, as the original matrilocal, peaceful people, and that everything rather extraneous to that in that area were not the great seeds of Noah. They were the destructive, violent patriarchy that was into controlling, robbery, raping, buying women, controlling, and we still have their infrastructure. In fact, as we go through and we look at Mesha, the real Moses, all right, it's not Maisha, the way the Jews have tried to insert a Y in there. It's not in the steel, it's actually Mesha. That is their Moses. He was a Moabite king, and that's where we get a ruler from, but it isn't. It means to deliver or deliverance. And this is going to be important to Genesis 3, and you will see where I'm going to with this. So let's come out of this, and again, come out of me. We're working with this area in here because I am going to lay that claim. That's right, folks. I'm making a land claim for the great empire that I have discussed regarding Micah 5, Micah 4, the daughter of Zion, the prior great goddess, and the great empire. And you're going to see that it was the Horians that are the Nakabit over in Egypt. They are the Abit later on. Mawit came in later. They were the original A in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. They are the Alap, the voice to speak in the Hattians, and that everything else in between is really very inferior patriarchy. So let's come out of this. And man does not rule over. Misha means, what does it mean? It means similar to Misha means ruler. To Michelle means ruler. No, none of that is correct. This is based on other people's. So what does Michelle with the Y actually mean? Who it means who is like God, like Michael. So I go and I discuss this, and Misha does not mean rule, but it means to deliver. That's where we get the Messiah from. We say it means anointed. It doesn't mean that. Now I'm basing all of this off of the research I'm reading on other people's things. Okay? So I have to go through then and redo all the translations based on, not on other people's translations. So let's go and find who the real Misha, real Moses was. And I think you have to read about it because he is the one that actually goes through. This is the Moabite stone, the Misha steel. This is Moses's steel that they talk about. His name is Misha. It's not Maisha. It's not Moses. This is all nonsense garbage that some of the Semites are coming up with. Even many of them are questioning this, and they have known that there's something going on here. Everything has been challenged. So the religion that we have today is based on a Babylonian group of thieves that came out of Babylon that are both a combination who claim to be, well, they weren't Hurrian. So there's a group of them that are a combination of Balkans because they're related to the Phrygians that then go up and take over as Lydia. They're not the original Ephesus or the Hurrians or the Hattians that were there. They take it over. There's a Celtic group that comes down. They're also very violent. There is a group coming up from the south. There are Semitic groups coming up from the south. The Amorites from the south, you will find them in Yemen, which is Eman. Eman is which is the god with the penis god over in Egypt. Okay, then we have them coming out of Africa. We have them coming all over the place, but they're not the chosen people that God saved for the Noahide. And that's where our 7, let's put the right fingers up, Lynn, 7 laws of the Noahide, which included, that you are monogamous, you do not commit fornication, you don't have sex outside of marriage. And that's where all those men fell down. As well, it is a matrilocality, joint rulership, matrilocality, and the women own the homeland. It's held in joint there. It means you don't have the resources or the place to go out and rape, pillage, and plunder other people. But what happens is that then patriarchy takes over and they say, look, if you would like to own your land and keep your women under control, let's go to war, and then the brotherhood will all make deals together. And this is what you do. So patriarchy and this kind of ownership does nothing but destroy and rape the land. It's a form of toxicity, and you've been doing it forever. So let's come back out of me. This is the real Moses. And he goes and he talks about, what does he talk about? Taking over the Hurrians. And who does he say he offended? Shemesh, which is also Chemish, which is also Shamash, a kind of out of Babylon. It's both from Egypt to Babylon, a sun god. And he engaged in human sacrifice with that, but he's taking his land from the Hurrians. The discovery of the Teal-Don stele and a reevaluation of the Misha stele by some scholars in 1994, Andre Lamad reconstructed BT as the House of David, meaning Judah, in line 31. This section is badly damaged, but appears to tell of Misha's conquest of the southern lands of Moab, just as the earlier part dealt with the north. And as we go through this, you will see in several places the altar hearth of David at Ataroth, one of the towns captured by Misha. So what happened is when David had his affair, it left him open. And we can see that in Psalm 80 and Psalm 83. It's loud and clear, and you have to read it in the Hebrew. But we're just going to deal I'm just going to put this in pause for a moment. Okay. Here he's saying, I am Misha, son of Shemesh Gad, king of Moab. Here we go. And he's going to war big time, as did Muhammad against the Hurrians. The wars against the Hurrians. Big time. There's a lot of Hurrian land still involved in the area. They've become more patrilocal and patriarchal, but it's still Hurrian land. But after the Babylon, and the group comes back, about 5,000, there's a group of Jews that are really Moabites, Ammonites, and they're not really They're not the Hurrians who controlled the land to begin with. And we can see this because of the armor letters. We can see who was there. And that is, although they're writing in Egyptian, and even if they use the Phoenician, they are still, much of the word choice that's used is originally Hattian or Hurrian. So the fact that Jews use Hora for parents or Horan, and that Islam is going, when they die, they're raping and they go to heaven, and there are hoary women that are there. And our word whore, which meant deer, I guess, up into the Germanic, comes from these lovely women. All right, this is all the hoary and the hoary. There's so much more that is not Semitic in origin at all. In fact, the good people, you have to say to yourself, the good people were the Hurrians and the Hattians. And I'm talking about if you go before 1500 BC. It's not the Semites. It's very interesting. And you can see how the Balkans are coming down and how they are changing metalworking into instruments of war. And it really begins by about 3000 BC. It's interesting how it's coming back down. It's not coming over from Africa. They're not developed like that. It's not coming up from Yemen. It's coming down through. All right. Now, let's come out of this, and so let's see what Misha means. Misha stone. Some say it is written in the Phoenician alphabet, but say it's written in an Old Hebrew script closely related. Take a look at this, Old Hebrew script closely related. The Moabites, the Ammonites, the Ishmaelites, the Hegrians, the Tyrrhenians, Gad, Gabal, is Byblos. All these groups are, and the Philistines and Tyre, they are all descending upon the ruler that's in that pretty, what's the word I'm going to use? Peaceful area, and they're all attacking. And that was David's faux pas. He lost everything. And Tyre took over. And the Moabites and the Ammonites, they all took over. It was awful. And then they continued to take over. So that's the Misha stele. So let's go into Strong's Misha. Now they're calling it Maisha. It's actually Misha. Maisha. Translation, Misha. What is this nonsense? There is no Y in there. It's Misha. It means deliverance. Where do they get to rule over in king? Because their king, the one that they are relating to, they're actually, and I've been saying it all along, they're Moabites and Ammonites. I'm making a land claim here, and I'm going to send it out to the governments. Let's come out of here. They've been lying and stealing. Oh, no. First of all, no, that's a whole different discussion. Oh, actually, I think that's a good idea. I've been saying that all along. All right. So we're going to look at this word Tishquat, Tishoka. There wasn't originally a Q in ancient Hebrew. There was in Phoenician. And this means longing. It is a feminine noun. Now, what does a feminine noun mean? Semitic and the Jews, and it's okay for me to say this because we're the Hurrians, they call Racham, a uterus, masculine. They take and appropriate for women everything they want that's of strength and everything else, and they give men other things that they don't. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Everybody knows that a uterus is feminine. Uterus is also masculine in Latin. They did the same crappy thing. This is part of what's going to all greatly change. Okay, here we go. just like women have more DNA. Sixth Dynasty documentary being a bas relief Assequa, Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, why do I have this up? Oh, circumcision is out of Egypt and it is actually African. So let's go into Genesis 3. When I was looking at this, seed of you and between seed of her, okay. This is where the great condemnation, now remember, it is the Greek, the Cecrops, who is a serpent dragon man who rules over women in Athens, in Attica, and it turns out that he's a combination of the from Thrace, from Thrax in that area, and Phoenician. Well, that makes sense. And to the woman I increase, and that is increase, and I am increasing. To the woman he says, to increase, I am increasing. Now this is hard labor, this is not work, meaning work of you. I'm increasing your work. Just like her husband, they have to go out and become farmers. And I've already shown you that 22,000, 23,000 year old farming settlement that's in Galilee. Increasing grief of you and pregnancy of you. This is Hern, this is Haran, Horian, pregnancy of you, which is a masculine. This is plural. Pregnancy of you. In grief, it's not grief. It's like in hard, you shall, you birth, that's it. You birth, there is the I at the end, and we have this here. So we're going to go in and take a look at this, some of the endings here. Oops. I kept, you kept. If it's masculine, it takes an A at the end. You kept, if it's feminine, singular, it has a T at the end. Second person feminine, singular. I birth, you birth, how do we have an I at the end? Now, that's the perfect. If it's you will birth, then it's an I at the end for the feminine. You will birth. And it is an I at it's an A at the end. You will, if it's plural. They have these different, and it's a U at the end. Second person masculine, plural. So there's a difference here. So it's you birth only if it's second person singular and it's the imperfect, which is you will birth. And if it's just first person as in I did, it would be the I at the end. And if it's you did, feminine, second person feminine, you kept, but no, this is past. I kept, you kept, that's past tense. This is imperfect, you will. So it's got to be you will birth. It has to be this one. Oh. Okay, you birth. Now it gets interesting. You birth sons. Yep, they say that. It should be children. Now this is what it doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean this there. It doesn't mean this there. And it doesn't mean this here. Bad translations that I've read, even from academic journals. L does mean two. Okay, but the two, you wouldn't say and two. You would say and you would just put the two to man. So it would be attached to the man, and because it shows you direct direction. And to man, that's what it means. And I've already said there's no you. There's a W, there's a V, but there's no you. So if they wanted to say, and to man of you, impulse of you, he shall rule over you. And to man, and to, and then man of you. No, it would be to would go to man. That's how it would go. All right? Like here is, here we go. Well, it's hard to tell when this droops down. So what are we, here, like to voice, right here. To voice. See how it goes to voice? We don't put the in the middle of anywhere. And you, it doesn't go in the middle of everywhere. From should be MM, not MN. And you are eating mim. This is not right. This is not right at all. Okay. La. Here's from. See, there's from. This is not from. This is min. That's the god. That's the god. You are eating min, the tree. Oh boy, what are they doing here? Okay, something very different. Let's come back to this, because what you're going to see is something very interesting. So, it doesn't mean that. Pregnancy of you, what does that mean? Well, let's go find it. That word right there. Now, while the other denotes showing a willingness or determination. That's right here. Showing a willingness or determination. This one is like a weakness, a foolishness, or a foolishness. But this is something different. That has an I beforehand. Ill. Yill. Well, that's not us. We have this one with what they call the U and the L. But there's actually no, it's just going to be wall. And notice there's the, it's not there. So what happens, because it's not going to be the other, and there's no A here. You see how they have an I in here? There's no I in here. It's just a WL. Again, there's no Y here. That is, or I should say there's no ha. That would be the. That would be hool, or al, or something, but not, there's no Y. I don't know what they're doing here. I have no idea. This is Jill. No. So, ul, I don't know. But it means, well, the other denotes the showing of willingness or determination. Okay, then there are two roots. There's this yil, of which one is comparable to one of the two roots, this, while the other denotes the showing of willingness or determination. Between oak and foolishness and worthlessness. Although the connection might simply imply the act of protruding, a tree protrudes up in the air. A foolish, okay, so where would a protrusion come into play with sex? Or an oak, or a tree, or upright, or desire. Where might that come into play? I should have done this at the very beginning. Here we go. It's come out of me. All right. So we've got this all going on, showing willingness, determinedness. Now, when in sex might there be kind of an oak, hard tree? Willingness, determinedness. It gets more interesting. Let's come out of me. And we have what here? And so now we're going to have, let's go back here. We have now this word, impulse of you. Now this is a feminine noun, but a feminine noun does not mean it's a she. Oh, breasts are also masculine in Hebrew. Yeah, yep. And Shadah, which used to be feminine, is now masculine, and it's just ridiculous. So, impulse of you. Where do we have impulse of you? I've got to find that one. Impulse of you, because I took it out. Hold on. Because it's true. So, what it's saying, in grief you shall give birth to sons. In hard work, you're going to give birth to sons. And you're going to work hard out in the fields too. And what is that word again? And sons. Hard desire, a willingness, a preoccupation. What are we looking at here? Well, the other denotes a willingness or determination. Okay, a determination. Determination, man of you. Determination, man of you. Now, what does this word mean? Okay, this word means noun feminine, and it means a longing. A longing. Determination, or would determination, man of you, longing of you, longing of you. His longing for women, his longing will be for you. And let's do the last part. And now, where else are we? He deliver to in you, or deliver God in you, or he deliver, but he does not rule. Remember, that's Meshel, Meshel, I don't know. Deliver. This is to deliver. Deliver to. He delivered to in you. So what are we looking at? Determination, or would, man of you, desire of you, and he deliver to in you, or deliver God in you. It's talking about the man desiring the woman. He's being persistent about it. Could have something to do with wood in a tree. And he's ejaculating into her. God and the birds and the bees. You gotta love it. How do they come up with this stuff? I really don't know how. Oh, that's because it's the thieves. The thieves. So they took the actual text that was out there, the actual stories that were out there. That means someplace out there, there's an actual text that they took and confabulated the whole thing. But what's really amazing is that when you go through and see how Abraham is only going to produce the goyim, and that you see that the people who did those translations between 850 and 1000 AD knew that the bad guys had gotten a hold of what was going on. So the Babylonian Talmud, all of these things, all bad guys. Bad guys, all bad guys. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to have to put the other on the beginning of this, because if not, this isn't going to make any sense, and nobody's going to keep their history up. I'm going after the land deal, and I'm going to go out to shut you down. And of course, we already know that I'm the weapon. Zion means penis. You know, Queen Elizabeth with that long, sneaky penis coming out of the rainbow one. Yes, okay. Zion means penis and weapon. I think I got the weapon. It looks like I got the penis. Bye. This is so stupid. Okay, bye.